Hello all, welcome to Lucid Means. Today, we are going to discuss about the Sustainable Development Goals from the Indian perspective. This assessment is based on the recent SDG India Index Baseline Report 2018 released by Niti Aayog. And here we are trying to cover this topic in a comprehensive way which you could use for your general studies papers including ethics and even some optional papers like sociology, public administration and so on. This is the first part of the entire video in which we will try to scratch the surface of Sustainable Development Goals, and then we will dive deeply into SDGs one by one in the coming parts. So, let us now start with a brief introduction. Sustainable Development Goals, also called as Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. SDGs are adopted by 193 countries including India in September 2015 at the United Nations and came into force in January 2016. These include 17 goals, 169 targets and 230 indicators that are to be achieved by 2030. The distinctive feature of SDG, unlike its predecessor the Millennium Development Goal or MDG, is that the countries can set their own priorities and need not get tangled by global prescriptions. So let's check how Sustainable Development Goals got formulated. United Nations adopted the Millennium Declaration comprising the Millennium Development Goals as an outcome of deliberations in the United Nations Millennium Summit on 8 September 2000. This formally began the global efforts on development over the next 15 years. That means all goals are set for a period of 15 years. That means the Millennium Development Goals started in the year 2000 and ended in 2015. Similarly, Sustainable Development Goals period range from 2015 to 2030. The report of the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in June 2012 was named The Future We Want. It paved the way for the discussions on post-2015 development agenda in the form of Sustainable Development Goals based on three dimensions of development like economic development, social development and environmental development. The United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development 2012 held at Rio de Janeiro is also known as Rio Plus 20. The Sustainable Development Goals are usually viewed as extensions of Millennium Development Goals with a sustainability factor added to each Millennium Development Goal along with a set of all new goals which were ignored in MDGs. SDGs are a set of 17 specific goals offering special focus on important areas related to sustainable development that require urgent and extensive attention at present and in near future. The SDG framework helps to provide systematic solutions to the obstacles identified in case of MDG like inequality, sustainability, institutional resourcefulness, implementation efficacy, environmental deterioration, etc. Thus, Sustainable Development Goals are expected to upgrade the positive outcomes of MDG. So, why sustainable development? This agenda identifies that the focus of the countries should not be only on economic growth, but also on fairer and more equal societies and a safer and more prosperous planet. It also identifies that the tasks of peace, justice, environmental protection and industrial development are interconnected and are part of same change. Also that the global and interconnected challenges can only be fought with global and interconnected solutions. It is a plan that requires an upgraded global partnership between governments, business, the civil society and individuals. As we make progress towards achieving the 169 targets, we will realign the national and global development on a more sustainable, more resilient path. The core of this global agenda for 2030 is the principle of universality, that is, leave no one behind. This means that development in all its dimensions must be inclusive of all people everywhere in the world and should not be built through the participation for everyone, especially the most vulnerable and marginalized. Now we will look at the advantages of Sustainable Development Goals in comparison to Millennium Development Goals. The share of the most poorest 20% of population in the total national monthly consumption was never about 10% during the entire period ranging from 1993 to 2012. Also, instead of increasing, this share has declined over the years for both rural and urban areas despite some fluctuations during this period. The fact is that the share of poor people in national consumption is lower in urban areas as compared to rural areas. Two important global advantages of Sustainable Development Goals missing in MDGs are evaluation and accountability. To address these, a Global High-Level Political Forum or HLPF was established. Its central role is to follow up and review progress at the global level. Voluntary national review is the mechanism through which such follow-ups can happen. So, now we will look at the goals. First goal is no poverty. That is, this goal aims to end poverty in all forms everywhere. Second one is zero hunger. This goal aims to end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Third one, good health and well-being. This goal aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. The fourth one is quality education. This goal aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The fifth goal is gender equality. This goal aims to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Sixth one is clean water and sanitation. This goal ensures availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Seventh goal is affordable and clean energy. Aim of this goal is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. Eighth one is decent work and economic growth. This goal aims to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. The next ninth one is industry, innovation and infrastructure. With this goal, we are trying to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. 10th goal is to reduce inequalities. This goal tries to reduce inequality within and among countries. 11th goal is sustainable cities and communities. Here we are trying to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. 12th goal is sustainable consumption and production. This is a goal to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. The 13th goal is climate action. This goal calls to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. 14th one, life below water. This aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. Next one, life on land. Here we try to protect, restore and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. 16th goal is peace, justice and strong institutions. This goal aims to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable and inclusive institutions at all levels. And the last 17th goal is partnerships for goals. This goal aims to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So what is the role of India in this agenda? The government of India is strongly committed to 2030 agenda, including the Sustainable Development Goals. India will play a leading role in determining the relative success or failure of SDGs as it is the second most populous country in the world. India's National Development Goals and its Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas or Development with All and For All policy, initiatives for inclusive development and converge well with Sustainable Development Goals. India is already taking significant steps towards the attainment of SDGs. India is the first country in the world to release a report on developments in attaining the SDG agenda, that is the SDG India Index Baseline Report 2018 released by Niti Aayog, on which we are basing this report. Also, India's National Development Agenda outlines the measures the government is taking on issues like poverty, sustainable growth, health, nutrition, gender equality and quality education among several others. India has the potential for $1 trillion worth of business opportunities and 72 million job opportunities by 2030 for companies working in sustainable development, especially in sectors such as food and agriculture, energy, construction and healthcare. 50% of the delivery of global goals will come from the progress made by India. So what is the National Action on Sustainable Development Goals? The key actions undertaken so far by key entities responsible for spearheading the work on SDG include: first, by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog, the government's premier think tank, has been entrusted with the task of coordinating work on SDGs by adopting a synergetic approach involving central ministries, state and union territories, civil society organizations, academia, business sector and all to achieve India's Sustainable Development Goal targets. A comprehensive mapping of SDG targets with schemes and programs has been developed. This suggests an approach to sustainable development that brings together economic, social and environmental pillars with a focus on their interlinkages. Next is by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, or Ministry of SPI. The ministry has drafted the National Indicator Framework, or NIF, in consultation with ministries and state or union territories. This ministry has also been leading discussions at the global level on indicator framework for SDGs. Last but least is by the states and union territories. Several states and union territories have mapped state and centrally sponsored schemes in relation to SDGs, and they have categorized these to long-term visioning, medium-term strategy development and short-term action plan exercises. SDG index score of top and least performing states and UTs. Niti Aayog gives an overall score of 57 to India's performance. This means that India has just crossed the halfway mark to 2030 agenda in 2018 itself, and there are 12 more years to achieve the other half. The index score ranges between 0 and 100. Score of 100 means an achiever who has achieved the national target set for 2030. Below that, there are three categories like front runners, that is the scores between 65 to 99. Next one is performer, that is between 50 to 65, and an aspirant from 0 to 49. Actually, there are no achievers yet. So, who are the front running states and UTs? Let's look at. First, the front runners. Among states, Kerala and Himachal Pradesh leads with a score of 69. And Tamil Nadu comes then with a score of 66. Among union territories, Chandigarh leads with a score of 68. And then comes Puducherry with a score of 65. Kerala's top rank is attributed to the superior performance in providing good health, reducing hunger, achieving gender equality and providing quality education. Himachal Pradesh ranks high on providing clean water and sanitation, in reducing inequalities and preserving mountain ecosystem. Chandigarh takes the lead because of its performance in providing clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, generating decent work and economic growth, and providing quality education to the people. So now we will look at the least performers, that is the aspirants. From bottom, it is Uttar Pradesh who is leading with an index score of 42, and then comes Bihar with a score of 48, and Assam also follows them, who scored 49. Among union territories, aspirants are Dadra and Nagar Haveli with a score of 57, and then comes Andaman and Nicobar Islands with 58 and Lakshadweep with 62. So that's it for today, and next part will come soon. Thanks for watching.